once again, welcome back to Chats with Jack. I am Jack Talcott. And greetings, blessings, salutations, and love. Once again, welcome back to Chats with Jack. I am Jack Talcott. And as I was saying before we started, man, holy cows, praise God and thank you. Thank you to all of you who may tune in, may join me. If you're here with me now already, sincerely, you know the gratitude is for you and for the others who stroll in later or just check in at a later time. Thank you sincerely. And Samsonite, you are the first like, man. Please hit the like for everyone. I appreciate the way you lead the pack, my friend. And it's when the beat drops, I feel it too. I've kind of got attached to that little drum roll and the beat that opens because it feels like the blessings are there and it's a showtime, right? It's a sign. It's a sign that the time is coming. It's time for us to get going again today. Today, the topic, the live stream title. You know, I'm debating and deliberating on some different ideas, you know, bouncing around in the noggin, see what I want to share and what I want to talk about today. And admittedly, one could say that today's live stream is actually pretty selfish, right? Helping me, Jack Talcott, helping me do better and shine a little more. It is my goal. And sometimes, you know, you got to go to the community. You got to go to those around you in order to accomplish what's in your heart and what you're wanting to do. So I think that's where I'm coming from. Pools reviews very shortly. Very shortly, I do believe that we will. I'll be dropping the link and opening it up for those who want to help Jack Talcott do better. In the thumbnail today, a little fun. Happy Wednesday. Use this day to spread positivity and joy, whether it's through a kind word, a smile, or a little act of kindness. And that's observation on that idea, using the day to spread positivity and joy. Even with poor execution, even with a clumsy attempt, when we have honest intentions to spread joy and laughter and fun into the world, it works. And the way to get it to work is to be mindful. Becoming mindful of your efforts and the results will help refine what you do. And if that isn't appropriate for Jack and what I'm trying to figure out, how do I do? How do I do what I do in a better way so that the better is seen instead of the stumbles and the flaws? I've got my own ideas, some things that I've been working on for myself to expand my view, to expand my perception, not just on me, but on the greater world. And there's some simple things. If you think about it, it makes sense. If you want a bigger picture on your life, you want to see a bigger picture of where you're at in the world, all you got to do is move your mind beyond your limitations, because it's only through the limitations that we find our small views. We find ourselves in these holes, or we find ourselves at this dead end where I can't go, I can't find a way. I've been there a lot in my past, finding myself where I felt I was locked in a corner, you know, no way out, just pain and ugliness, just darkness all around. And if you look at the news today, if you look at the bigger picture in the world, it might be just what you find. You know, the idea of today, what applies to me, applies to all of us. But really, I guess in this question, in the topic today, when I open it up, oh, praise God. Praise God indeed. Drop the link while I'm just off yesterday's stream. I assume that means you might be fired up. And I don't know that I want you fired up. I'd love to have panel waste management join in a good mood. That would be an amazing opportunity. This brilliant one who understands nature's laws has access to the universe's secrets. The laws, they're not secret, but if you don't know the laws, if you don't know, then they're kept secret from you for sure. All right, panel waste management. Yes, I am making assumptions. Here's where I'm going with this. The idea, oh my goodness, praise be. And yeah, the optics are high. um, oh, you're busy. Okay, well, I'll try and be quick. The point I wanted to get, the idea of the live stream, what I am inviting perspectives and ideas. What can I do? What can Jack do? Right? What can I do to do this better and to do me in a better way, to shine a little bit more? Now, really, generically, the topic is really how to be a good person. I mean, because a good person is one who does better. A good person shines a little more. I know. How could how dare I assume he's fired up? You know what? It is a day. Today is a new day, and we do live in a world. So I'm gonna go ahead. We'll open it up and we'll see where the day goes. For those who do to join the conversations with Jack today, the link is now pinned. And we've got our first guest. Someone beat Tommy to the punch. Welcome.
Greetings, Jack. I wanted to give you a kind word for giving me another raid again yesterday. I'm blessed. And I also wanted to give you a little smile because you're doing what's right. I believe in that. And according to my showing yesterday, I've got a lot of shit going on in my own life, so I don't want to degrade the panel. So I just wanted to come up real quick and be that helpful thing. Be blessed. I appreciate you.
Hey, much love. And yes, well, we did forward over yesterday, and I think I put the link in the description yesterday afterwards for those who want to check it out. We did forward over to El Perro's, but then I got caught up, and I wasn't able to spend much time. But here, let me not put off any longer and welcome back Sigma L.
Sigma L. It's a play off Trandy's whenever he's Ligma L. It's a play off of the angels' names before they had fallen, because the L is God syllable. Wizard looks like he's dead all over again. Especially considering doing the right thing. Jack, you could teach him how to properly blue text. Took me 2 years to come across a little ditty he did on me that was 20 minutes of a laugh and a half of denying why we need upholsteries and things. But no, Jack, you were running on, and I was losing the thing I was hearing. Number one, and this is the least important thing, and Frank, you can just say this from the chat or anywhere. You don't have to come up. In my experience with the Chinese people I used to eat with that were from China, it was just boom, like you just grabbed food from wherever you wanted, and I was sitting there like looking left and right until they realized, they're like, oh, you just take what you want. You just this is how we eat. This is how we eat in our culture. You just take what you want, and it was all like chung 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 chung.
I get it.
And I'm not saying Frank's a liar or that he's wrong. Maybe that's like for the head of the household, like the big piece of chicken. Just when I was with Chinese people, it's like they don't even pass the bowls around. They're just spooning at it. Jack, we can't make you shine more if you're not going to improve what you are and what you're conveying out here. And I don't know what people are saying or what you claim people are saying. I have made no striped animal moves toward the suggestion of pedophile. I just know that a young lady said she knew you when she was younger, and uh, you were maybe not the most popular with her, but you did mention her on yesterday's stream. I'm not sure if she's trying to reveal herself yet, but it's not the chick that comes on your panel, and you have touched base with them, at least in the lightest sense. And there was something else. Oh yeah, like Untrackable. I really like Untrackable as a panelist to give his takes and something to work with. But I don't know where he sees you as like. Yeah, we're all still here because we're like Highlanders stabbing each other in the chest and never taking each other's head off. That's why you're still here. As far as like upholsteries and things, like you're still not caught up with. Yeah, you and a couple hosts out here, you like to say what people's problem is with you and get it wrong.
Do I?
Yes, and I hate your deflective, Jack. And just at the present state of America, homeless people are not starving, man. I turn food down. I can go get this like 3 times a week, Jack.
I believe it.
It wouldn't be enough meat, but a lot of this is for my ducks and stuff. And then on the way back from that, I got to go pretty soon because I got a quest stream. There's this old rough guy named Anthony with a yellow beach cruiser. I'm taking some tools back for it. He's got a brand spanking new +5 leather armor jacket that he's willing to trade me for stuff. And that thing is cherry.
Nice.
You don't even know. Nice. So tell Landry, eventually, nobody's finding. This is a neck fan, Jack. Do you know that?
I do now.
Here's a whole set of clippers with the clippers. Here's more fucking headphones with microphones, so Landry can quit crying. Maybe when I quit crying about my dog, I'll get another smaller dog. Here's a dog sweater.
Okay.
And what do I say? What do I say, Jack? Always, all I find is right gloves. All I find is right gloves. You out there finding left gloves, Jack?
No.
Well, then what fucking good are you to me?
I don't know.
I don't need light coaching, Jack. I need a left red sand. Is this red sand?
Possibly.
Oh, come on, Jack. It's fucking Ultraman.
Ultraman?
No, it looks like the Ultraman ones.
I don't know.
Okay, there was a guy, he could form a giant guy to fight off Godzillas and stuff, but because of the pollution of the earth, he could only be Ultraman for 3 minutes at a time. Your old ass is old enough for that.
No, I don't know that one.
Well, then talk that right up with so many other things.
I know,
like
Tom. Tom, you are a gift. You got references and lore for days, and sometimes I don't always follow it. I don't always catch it.
What is this? Is this a Ninja Turtle show? Is that a knee pad? That's big for a knee pad. I guess it's pretty big for a knee pad. I think I'm gonna make it like a seat backing for a passenger bike.
Hey, I want to give real brief a shout out. Thank you to Modern Men Lost Again for those who may have swung over with the raid, and I guess that may have exhausted our time with Tom. What a wonderful, he blew in like the wind, right? And blew out like the wind. Truly a trip. And this is not the direction I want today to go, but snafu.
I'm in life coach mode, Jack. I'm your life coach. You wanted help? I'm here to help you.
Not from you, though.
No, this is where you need to listen. You need to quit your fucking shit and submit. You have issues, Jack. You're having secrets that you're trying to hide.
No.
And that's what Tommy was bringing up. He wasn't bringing up the drive-by. He said
Actually,
you were hiding a secret, which is a maybe baby.
no, it's
That
not
was a
true.
So you're saying you
No,
don't have a maybe baby?
snafu, holy
I'm trying
cows.
to
I do
help
not.
you. I'm life coaching you to accountability. Take a breath. Eyebrows unfurrowed.
Oh, that feels so much better already. You're right. You're right, Snafu. Take a breath, eyebrows unfurled, and then poof. Everything is better now. I didn't even get a chance to respond or reply to Tom. So please, Snafu, we can have conversations. We don't have to go chaos all
I
the
was
time.
curious. I thought Wizard could get a lot of tips from Tommy on rooflessness since Wizard is getting evicted. And I think Tommy might be able to help him. You think
Okay.
Tommy could give him pointers since Wizard might be homeless or
No.
roofless? Why?
No.
Why? You don't think Tommy could help people who are roofless? You don't think he has pointers?
Yeah.
How to stay warm? How
But
to?
Snafu, isn't it the same situation I'm in? You know, the
Yeah,
help
you got a roof over your head.
the help has to be there has to be a willingness to receive. So I don't know
okay.
that
What about Jeremy?
Farrell wants to bring
How come you're not helping Jeremy when he's like simping over Grace?
dude. He's looking for a daddy, that's for
That's what
sure.
I'm saying. Why don't you take him in as your project?
He hasn't listened.
Why, he's a broken dude. You like broken
Snafu.
people,
He's just like you in
right?
that
But
aspect.
he's in your area. He's reaching out for help, and you
Not
can go
with
get him
me.
right now.
Not with me. He hasn't responded or
I
acknowledged
know he's simping for
my
Grace.
offer.
Maybe if you were to intervene, and I actually Ben and Grace probably would approve and say, you know what, Jack, that's a great idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if he listened to me, he'd probably hear some great ideas. For sure.
Oh, why Samsonites?
But
Nazi mods, by the way. So, can we do some breathing treatments today? Life coach, I got lesson planned to life coach you, help you out. That's what the topic is, right? Jack needs help, and I'm here.
see, I'm wondering though, what do I do with you?
We work on your life coaching sessions. We start with meditation and breathing, eyebrows and
Oh,
furrow.
I've got those down, dude.
You've been doing better the last few days.
Well, actually, you know what? Yesterday, for those who were here and tuned in yesterday, we had an excellent group. We had an amazing live stream. It ran about 3 hours or so. But in my review, I saw times where I reacted when I could have done a little better job. And this is kind of where the topic and the idea comes from today. Because genuinely, I do want to do better. I do want to shine more, right? Not with my anger, not with the disappointment.
That's why you got to work on yourself. That's why you got to work on your anger and your judgment, your bitterness.
Jack, I literally just looked up snafu in the dictionary and was amazed by how fitting it is. Defined.
Oh my God, what a fucking idiot.
Used
Dude, they're late to the party. Talk about someone who just woke up. Found out that fucking there's more than Channel 3.
Hey, we all got to learn at our own time. we learn things when it happens.
I know, but dude, some of these people are so slow, man. They make molasses look like a fucking Energizer bunny.
Brother, this is actually a wonderful
Oh
point.
God, you're fucking groupie Trexie. She's the worst fucking out here on YouTube.
Focus
Has
on
she
the
helped
words
you with your
instead of-
family? Has she contacted?
Focus on the words instead of your opinion. I'm going to rotate you through because I've got another guest here, which I'd probably like a bit more. Welcome back.
Hey, I'll take it. You know, at least I'm better than Snafu. You know, people might have their thoughts, but I'll take it. How's it going? How you feeling?
Uh, it's another day. It's another day. My hopes are already getting dashed against the rocks, I think. But thank you for joining.
Yeah, man. I still want to explore more of that idea, you know, that we talked about yesterday here in the near future. We'll work it out, but I think people would love to pick your brain, because what I said, you know, obviously I don't think this is a secret, was told you that I think that you are the king of networking online, and you know, I think that you could basically teach a lesson on it if you had to. I think you know how to connect people. You know how to make it to where it's not even about spamming. It's just about sort of like putting yourself. I remember, dude, you were there with me when 2 people were watching, and then all of a sudden, here I am 6 months later, and not much has happened. But
I appreciate that vote of confidence, sincerely. Thank you. And thank you for recognizing it. I don't know that it's, I don't know if it's anything in particular I'm doing. And I actually see others on the online, like Powder Dusty. He actually goes out and networks very well. I'd say he does it better than me.
I'd say that I have my theories about the a desired
Okay.
outcome from him being a little bit more vicious. I mean, well, I guess, would you see people in this space as anyone being a competitor? Or would you say that everyone's a collaborator?
I believe the mindset of the majority is competitors.
But not you.
Well, my hope is to be more of a collaborator,
But
right?
you're not even saying that you are yet. I thought you would be.
Well, there's others that want to compete, and here we've got another guest. I'm gonna bring Frank up too.
Can I ask you before I forget? What do you think? Or do you do anything to cut others down? I mean, you don't have to tell me, but I mean, is there any times when you feel as though you're kind of getting one getting one over on someone?
I'm sure there has been times, but I don't consciously do that much. But admittedly, I mean, we've all got a little bit within us, a little devilish character, right? Wanting to be a little bit vindictive, wanting someone's hurt to hurt just a little bit more. So maybe I've done that. I don't know. What about you?
I don't feel like I do that. I really
Good.
don't. I mean, because here's my thought process is this, right? I'm thinking in the terms of TOS and just sort of deliberately sabotaging people's areas. Obviously, never done that in my life. And another thing I don't do is I don't say something to get a reaction. People have, accuse me of that very often. But what I do is I definitely provoke people, but it's usually to get somewhere that I never get to. But it's not to get a reaction. I don't want to see them explode. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah, I've seen that too. Here, I want to welcome Frank. I'd love to hear some of your thoughts on this too, Frank. What are you thinking?
Yeah, sure. If I may diverge for just a second to address Tommy a moment ago. And blessings, gentlemen. Landry, Jack, good to see both of you. He's not wrong about the Chinese eating patterns among the working class.
Okay.
And so yeah, I've lived among both, and so yeah, the labor class, they will typically just go at it, right? Because it's a free for all. But if the manager or boss is there, they'll always defer to them first. But among the more educated class, like academia, intelligentsia, people who are above, like they separate Chinese society very like clearly, at least in China, right?
Okay.
And at high school, if you don't pass like your diploma, like they call it the Gaokao, the college entrance exam, then you're immediately mitigated to like vocational schools and the working class. Whereas if you do pass the great final exam at the end of high school, then you go into college. And so not everyone can get into college. Anyway, among the collegiate educated, they'll always eat in a more organized fashion. So I just thought I would address that real quick. But to get back to what you guys were talking about and like cutting people down, Yeah, I was a little bit snappy yesterday with untrackable in the chat, at least. And it's just because it was kind of brutal. Like I said, my comment was that it was like listening to paint dry. And
Hey, dude, but then it kind of gives you some perspective because then Jack sounds like he's on 2X.
yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. So it's definitely some way to make Jack shine, right?
Okay. Yeah. Thank
I don't
you.
know. I feel the same way. I mean, I first heard him on Gen X Jeff, and I was like, time slowing. I was in the car driving. I was like, dude, the cars are all standing still.
I know.
Yeah, and it seems intentional.
I know.
I think he's doing it on purpose. He's kind of playing a role. I don't know. Maybe that's really him.
It does seem very unique.
There's a value in what he does. I mean, and I can see the value, but unfortunately, yesterday I was having a challenge following. I wasn't connecting the dots, and well, and Frank, you recognized your own self. You know, could we have been more kind? Certainly, we could. But I don't think either of us, I don't think any of us, the three here specifically, I haven't seen any evidence that we really go after people, right? Intentionally causing them. Landry gave me a little smirk, so I'm not sure.
No, the smirk was because I know how many people would disagree with you. I agree with you. I feel as though it's warranted because, like, if I complain. It's one thing I do. I complain too much, but I don't go after people like that. It's not me.
Yeah.
But I just know there's someone somewhere out there when you said that, that's just like, what the hell did he just say?
Well, I think that all of us realize it's kind of a waste of time, right? Why would you spend energy going after someone else when you can spend that energy, improving yourself and trying to do better in the world?
Yeah, and that's what I always try to turn the hate into. It's like fuel, where I'm like, all right, they're saying I'm gonna fail. I won't let them win. I'm gonna succeed. But then it all comes in waves.
It does. Something along the lines here, we got another guest I'm going to bring up. And Snafu, I may bring you back up in a little bit, but first we're gonna balance like the other end of the energy for a little. Okay. Good book, Snafu. I encourage you. Dig into your book. We'll get to you.
Good boy, Snafu.
Glenn, welcome back to you. How are you today?
I'm all right, as best as I can be. Thank you, Landry, for allowing me a spot on your channel. I appreciate that. That was, I think, very informative to what my needs were. Frank, you may even want to weigh in on this. And Jack, believe it or not, I could use a perspective from you that may be beneficial if you're willing to maybe kind of direct me in something that, as Glenn Monday, might be beneficial to me, because, I'm stuck in a I guess a moral dilemma. By trade, I'm computer science, art, tech development, frequency, such forth. And as I was saying earlier on Landry's, I'm being utilized by the people, not only the healthcare industry, but the people in my family are utilizing me as a resource for their benefit, which is leading me to a point where I'm going to have to obtain a stable, suitable, independent place. But I'm also considering prostituting my services out to larger tech corporations, and as a cause and effect to the situation. I don't want to be exploited by my family whenever they're doing it for their own benefit and not for the mutual cause. And to me, that seems like, well, it would be my best interest, maybe not morally, because I know what they would do with the information that I did work with them with, but maybe to sustain myself. And what are your thoughts and approach on that? I mean, that's a pretty heavy move for me, as anti establishment as I am.
I didn't follow it clearly, what you were suggesting, but it sounds like perhaps because of the way people around you are interacting with you, you're feeling like maybe you're being used a little. And is that right?
Yes, sir.
Exploited, perhaps?
Yeah, very exploited. For
Okay.
every benefit and resource that they can pull out of me by proxy from my services.
All right. And so to counter that, what you're looking at is exploiting yourself with the
For
bigger corporations?
Yeah, for sustainability, um, rather make money off of being exploited than and have my sense of stability and still be able to do my research and development and bypass the social pressures of the way that things are today under the
Can
financial
we get
stress.
Untrackable up here to have a one-on-one with Access Rat Blood?
Oh, no. I'm sorry. I'd rather hear from Frank.
No, Axis, I think I get it. I'd encourage you, well, without enough information, and that's where I'm operating from. I don't know enough details to have a clear picture, but the first thing I might suggest is don't limit, please. Don't limit into the either or, right? And
Right.
I don't think that's what you're doing, but I know it's possible to do that. I'd assume there's other alternatives, but even before that, what I might suggest, or if you were interested, what we could do is look inside to find out what's the source of the feelings, right? Because it's the ideas and the feelings that are causing you to see the family and the medical folks as one way, and then also considering the other things. So there's something internally there for you. But is it bad? I mean, is it bad if your family uses your brilliance, or the medical professionals use what your skills are?
It is when they're exploiting it and I'm not receiving equal compensation, as in healthcare, stability, security, emotional support. They're not returning these things, but yet they're taking the resources. And, one incident, and I hate revealing this, is because I worked through waiver program, which is a program that helps pay for my housing. My mom demanded the number to talk to Matt, which is Brightpoint president, and she got absolutely enraged with him to the point where he said, "We're not here for you, ma'am. We're here for Mr. Monday. I don't know what you're thinking." And he became very distraught with her because she became that demanding. And I was like, whoa, this is reflective on me.
I got that. Tell you what, well, do you have, if there's insight from the others, please?
Well, I just wanted to say that I bid you guys adieu. It's good to hang out here, and
oh man,
right.
I didn't mean to run Landry. I'm sorry, Jack.
No worries. He's free to return if he wants. We've got Tom in the back.
I would only add real quick, Mr. Monday.
Yes.
Seems okay. We got a case of the Mondays over here, right? It's important, I think, to help other people, but we shouldn't do it too much because it creates an unnatural dependence. And at the same time, you can't allow yourself to be a victim to if they have bad intentions. But at the same time, right, we have to, I guess, be super clear in discernment and try to kind of figure out what's going on, especially when it's family. Yeah, I don't know, man. That's complex issues don't have easy answers. I don't think you got to kind of untie it, one piece at a time.
Yeah, and I agree with you because I'm taking whatever information that I'm receiving here, and it will be analyzed, and I will apply it as best that I can according to how well it fits the situation, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, there's a lot of details, and maybe this is just the start.
How long have I been up here?
Just long enough.
Jack, I was supposed to be live 3 minutes ago, right? I can only teleport like in 4 minutes. I was supposed to be live 3 minutes ago.
I'm sorry.
And then you let that beta cuck Landry run. I see Axis every night. I'm sure he'll work it out, whatever he's talking to you about.
Okay.
But Landry doesn't get the reason you can't give a class on the things you're good at is because you're naturally good at it. You know what I can give a good class on? Everything I've ever struggled to figure out how to do. And I can tell people those steps and those things I had to learn. When you're a natural, you don't even know that your toe's going on that part of the board. You're kicking now and you're kick flipping it this way. You can't tell somebody how to do it because you're a natural kick flipper. And when people drive by and go, do a kick flip, you just do it. You didn't even want to, like a slave.
Okay. Thank you. What are you doing live about? What's going on with you today?
I'm gonna go get a badass leather jacket off of a better old coot than Word Wizard, and maybe Word Wizard is challenged housingly because he's been going around for years saying I'm homeless, like a Landry.
All right.
Oh, that's what I forgot, Jack. That's what I forgot about yesterday's stream. You were talking about like how people say these things about you that aren't true, and all this stuff's going around about you that's not true, and you were going at Margot about it and shit. But you have absolutely no problem protecting Paul and Flow State and you.
Hey, chill out, please. Chill out. There we go.
And I would, Jack, if you don't mind, extend Untrackable. I know we were together on TMLs last night. I hold no animosity. I respect you as a person. We've talked even on my panel, and I want you to understand that what I said was not an offensive statement. It was just allegory to the fact that we spent time on TMLs last night. Thank you, brother.
Yeah. Welcome to Untrackable. Joining with thoughts, ideas?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure where to go with anything except for to share the love.
Perfect.
Everywhere I go.
Much love.
If you guys are deep in something, keep digging, because you'll find it eventually.
Yeah, we'll get it cleared out. Moose, welcome to you. Are you
What's up, Jack?
you got some
That wasn't me.
welcome to you. No, I know. Untrackable. We got something going on. I'm not sure what it would be.
Yeah, someone's tuning in old school, like with a tin can and a fishing line.
Right. That's not me, but I do want to thank you, gentlemen, for having me, for your insight, and if anything comes to you, I am receptive. Thank you guys very much.
Access, thank you, brother.
Blessings,
Appreciate
Glenn.
And yeah, we didn't really get. I don't know if we got anything kind of unpacked or resolved for him there, but I wasn't sure where it was going. Now we lost Moose. But generically, having friends and family using us, taking advantage of our skills, our talents, sometimes that can be, you can feel unappreciated. And maybe that might be where the position is coming from, the question. when we do feel unappreciated, it's very easy to start building up resentments. I know I've done that myself. Here, Frank, any thoughts, ideas, or go ahead and track.
Yeah, we're getting taken advantage of. I mean, it's important to protect our higher purpose, and I think that's maybe what a lot of people don't necessarily focus on in the day to day, is that they should somehow have a higher purpose. And I think part of that is service to God and what that means to you and your deeper spiritual connection with source energy, and kind of bringing that into the world and into life, and abiding by those higher principles.
Yeah, the higher principles, though.
Well,
My,
I mean,
go ahead.
no, again, I always love to touch on the title. Helping Me, Jack Talcott. I think you are doing very well at helping yourself with your consistency. As far as anybody out there, me, Frank, Axis, the many names that could be quoted, they are doing their part by showing up, because you show up, Jack. You show up. You open these doors. And, the topic at hand is whatever, and it goes wherever. But you have been consistent. And I want to say thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. And go ahead.
Go ahead.
You had a pretty you had a pretty inspirational inquiry yesterday about like people and who they look up to in life. And it seemed like a lot of people had trouble doing that. I mean, my first query, of course, would be living or dead, right? And then with the guys from old school guys, I'd have a laundry list of guys that I, study and look up to. And then even in modern times, like clearly you're an example, a lot of people look up to you, and whether they come here to throw mud or to put wind in your sails, in some way, all of them are finding inspiration through your daily transmission, like Untrackable was saying. And yeah, there's just so many folks. I mean, I would have a hard time narrowing down the list of people that I admire and want to emulate.
And that's another thing too about the consistency of it. It's not necessarily who looks up to you. It's, hey, who shows up to dump their shit on my face? I hate to put it that way, but they continue to show up, and they dump and they dump and they dump. And maybe I'm guilty of dumping here, but you keep opening the door.
Yeah. And what would be your larger message for those people going forward, Jack? Like, I know you've addressed it in the past, but just like letting them know, like really what you've got going on and what you don't have going on here, like what would be the greater message there, you think?
Actually, I think that's partly where I was trying to go with today's topic, helping me to understand better. I've got my own opinions of what I should do and what I could do different. Certainly part of it, for me, the most obvious is doing a better job of laying not so much ground rules, but like hopes and expectations for what people bring. It has been, for the most part, a pretty free for all. People have been joining and bringing whatever they want, positive or negative, but it doesn't really help the bigger picture that I'm working on. And it is the bigger picture that, well, I would love for others to join me in, because this is truly the message I see for the whole world. It applies not just to me, but the whole world. if we can unite together, helping each other grow, we have so many opportunities in this world. I mean, through different connections, you want to increase your odds of success. You want to build, really compound the opportunities that are available to you. It happens through networking and connections. That's what makes success, in my opinion. But it can also break you too, I guess. There's plenty of stories about that too. People partnering up with the wrong person, the wrong spouse, in the wrong relationships, things can really go south. Hey, got another guest showing up. One I also appreciate the insight. Welcome back, Melanie.
Hello, hello.
How are you today?
Good. I wasn't trying to barge in on the discussion. It's good so far, but it did inspire me to talk about something I guess I have planned. I'm not sure if I'm the best person to do this, but you would be, Jack.
What's the thoughts, please?
So if you wanted to do some IRL grassroots, aka touching grass activism, in your community, I thought of a really, really smart way to gather people and to gather them around a cause. Like, here's something that we can work together to get fixed. To have community potlucks. And I don't know if you've ever heard of Food Not Bombs, but like people love coming together for free food. Like, that is the best way to get people to come to the table for something.
Yes, you're right. Actually, I think that's how I met a couple of organizations, was just that idea. The vegan potlucks, and then that's how I think I got introduced to the idea of Food Not Bombs and some of those other some of the other allied organizations. So that there is value in that, and to a small degree, I attempted that earlier in my path, because it was suggested, have a barbecue, invite your neighbors over, get people talking. And I did try that. It didn't work the way I'd hoped. But it doesn't mean that it wouldn't work. And so I'm not sure what my options would be here where I'm at now in Baltimore. But certainly for anyone who wanted to do something like that, I'm sure there's easy opportunities. Just register a spot at the park, get volunteers together, you get some like-minded people, and a small group of people can actually do something pretty decent for a lot.
Well, to serve
interesting
food,
idea.
it can be a bit of a jumble paperwork-wise if you try to. So the way I saw it happening is like wherever there's like a back alley or the sort of place that cops don't really care if a bunch of people are gathered, but also wouldn't be considered like a public park. Somewhere like that would be really good. And a key thing I think would be, good outreach, like handing out flyers and stuff like that. Used to be a mailman, so could be fun when the weather's nice to do that. I know the weather's shit right now, so it's not rush things. But I personally, I still need a year of travel. I might not even get that this year, but hopefully next year. But after that, I kind of want to get more into community grassroots type stuff because we're just not going to get anything done here. I'm sorry, but the internet is not productive. Or it's productive for the wrong people.
I won't even say that. I'd agree that my personal experience, it's something to be said about it. But I do know that many people have had successes with the online. I think in what I'm trying to do, and maybe what you might be thinking too, Melanie, if you're trying to actually have heartfelt connections, which is easier, if you're sharing, breaking bread and having a conversation with someone in real life, it's a lot better that way than in this digital realm.
For sure.
But I don't rule it out. I think it's just, it might be more challenging to actually establish real connections like this, but I know we can do it.
Yeah, and how to change that dynamic if it is possible in this platform. It does seem to be, and it seems to be very attractive to people in some way. I mean, obviously, more and more people are coming to it and spending time here. So, like, how do we make the shift? You know, what are your thoughts there on making the transition to this being more of a catalyst of productive change for folks?
Is that for Jack?
I'd love to hear your thought if you have an idea.
I mean, if you look at like COVID and like how the internet can be used in like disaster relief, there's always going to be a purpose for it. But I think, you know, right now, I'm not the sort of person who needs the internet to interact, but it is 10,000 times easier to interact with people I hardly even know through the internet than the people I hardly know in my building. It's hard to really give like a direct response for that, to be honest, but I think it's more about meeting people where they're at. So right now, like if you can have a Facebook group about the potluck, that's great, but don't also rely on that. I think a lot of people are starting to rely on web services to get things done. And if we're talking about, like, I'm not sure how broad the question is. If we're talking about like the panelverse and how people interact, I think there's just always going to be a problem with aggression and attracting people who see it as a space they can exploit.
True. Because in a way it is, isn't it? It's a way that can be easily infiltrated, easily exploited. It's really easy for people to put on a character or a mask when they do this.
Yeah, it has been for some time, but I do perceive change in that realm. Like one thing over the last couple of months, YouTube has been very proactive about is the so-called AI slop channels and closing down quite a few of them. At one point, just recently, we were utterly inundated with them and they were everywhere. But now they're moving towards, if you have AI representation, you have to check the box. And if you don't, then they'll just delete the channel immediately. And so they are eliminating a lot of that. And I think there's going to be a coming like call to action or accountability for anonymous individuals too. I mean, we see that obviously playing out in this realm, that folks won't be as easily able to tune in and cause trouble, engage in like, I don't know, cyberbullying and stuff like that without some greater accountability. I think people will be less likely to do it as well, knowing that some of those safeguards are in place.
Possibly. Well, this might be a little off topic from there, but I was just reminded of something I saw earlier regarding the AI. You know, someone showed a false video of a policeman confronting an ICE agent, right? But you know, and they're doing what would be righteous, saying, hey, you know, not in my town, you're not going to be doing this to our people. But it was fake, you know. And the point is, at this point in the development of AI, you can see the signs of when it's fake. But what's the next step? As this stuff improves, it's going to be more and more difficult to see what is real and what is false. And I suppose that makes it even more important for us as people. We got to figure this out.
Well,
How
they
do
will.
we? Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. No, they will be pushing for a digital watermark on platforms like this, like YouTube, where it'll clearly say in one corner, and then that'll be somehow universalized. At least that's my premonition of the thing, and I've heard people talking about it. But then again, they're putting GMO foods and other things on the market without any indication of that, right? So we had kind of strived for that in the past when they first started integrating genetically modified food organisms into the marketplace, that they should be clearly labeled. And I'm not sure how that's playing out with where you guys live, but I know that like here, for example, there is no indication of whether or not it's been modified in some way.
You're probably fine either way. But with the AI stuff, that would work if AI could only be made by the people who own big data centers or huge platforms. But a neural network is something you can run on your own computer if you're tech savvy enough. It doesn't need to be like the super powerful thing. It just you might take a long time to get a result, but it's still an AI. And I always think of AI as a double-edged sword. Like it's something that depends heavily on how we use it. It's the same as a knife. You know, you can use a knife to maim somebody, but you can also use it to cut up veggies and feed somebody. And if it were floating through space and had no chance of hitting anybody, it would be no different than any other hunk of metal floating through space. So it's literally how we choose to use it. And when like right now, there are plenty of content creators who are making content that's way better than what they could make without AI. They can put music to it. They can put something that's better than stock footage and free, apparently, from what I can tell. And that's making content creation more accessible for people. At the same time, you can use AI to bomb children in other countries. So, you know, I don't think it makes sense to write it off as evil or good. Awareness is key, but if we don't have a culture that's like, okay, first of all, let's get really good at detecting AI, because for every advancement that AI makes, we can also make advancements with using AI to detect other AI. But secondly, like, let's draw hard lines in the sand. Like if you make content that uses AI, like I always tell people when this Furby was drawn with AI, the mouth movements, I animated that myself. The software is not AI. That actually makes it go up and down in response to my voice. But to draw this Furby, I used AI because I don't have these sort of skills. And so, you know, if people aren't being accountable, we need to cancel them, right? Like we need like an AI cancel culture almost when people don't label their shit.
Yeah. See, this gets dangerous though. And I suppose in any action, in any answer, there's the potential of danger, isn't there? But the idea of, well, you guys just said the word, putting an image or something to identify it. It's really heading down to the path of making sure that the people have their papers, right? Is that where we're heading? Where we're going to have to carry some sort of verification to prove that we are real and not something imagined?
Yeah, I could see where it could go in that direction. And the other, I think the pushback there, at least in my mind, is that people are discerning enough for the most part, at least in our generation, that we're going to be making those choices that won't make it as attractive for the advertisers or whoever to generate so much of it. Because I don't know, like me personally, I'll listen to a couple of minutes of it, maybe 30 seconds to a minute, and then I'll tune out because of the irregularities. But you're right, when they overcome that and they make it near lifelike or better than lifelike, it'll be much harder, and it's going to be increasingly more difficult for the next generation who's growing up with such a large amount of it in their space. But again, bringing us back to the catalyst, Jack, like how do we do better, you know, like in interacting with folks, so that, because I think that living human beings, they're reaching out for spaces like this where there are still folks camming up and integrating and socializing. And for me, that's all really YouTube has become, that and like an audiobook storage site.
Right. I don't know. The potentials are incredible, both in the good and the bad. But what it comes down to, kind of like with the topic and my own personal goals, as people, it's time for people to do better, right? And what does that mean, to do better? It means to take the high road. It means to take the road less traveled. That is something I've been challenging myself. Landry was asking my opinion on how much I might try to shoot back or try to target other people who have been attacking me. I do intentionally, I try to remember to choose the higher path, right? Because if I can forgive someone and let it go, then hey, I don't have to carry the battle anymore. But not everyone's willing to try that. Not yet.
I think I agree, so long as it's not like a God coded answer, because I don't think you need to follow God to take the high road. Personally, I think I've found my own internal philosophy. It's not necessarily in words, but it does amount to like leave it better than you found it kind of thing.
Yeah,
That makes me a good person.
I agree.
Yeah, and I think snafu. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jack.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think snafu hasn't seen the clear delineation between what you're talking about, right? Like he mentions here, secrets, Jack, your secrets, right, in the chat. But what you're referencing are the legal secrets and the secrets that are actually holding all of humanity back, not, how many plies of two-ply toilet paper
Right.
did you use, right? I mean, it's just, I don't see why he doesn't get that. It kind of baffles me.
And
I
honestly,
think it's intentional.
I think it's disgusting that Snafu doesn't respect that you want to have a separation between your personal life and your online life. We're all dealing with people who are probably here because the real world isn't as accepting of them as they are here. And that's why we make friends here. And I'm okay with that. Like, I probably might not like you IRL, but I like you more when I talk to you through a panel. And that's fine. But like, you can't go digging into somebody's life and then get outraged by what you find. You sought that. That was you doing that to yourself.
Yeah.
I don't see Jack on here trashing his family. I don't see him talking about any of this stuff. It's just you, Snafu.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm going to swing back to what you said, Melanie, because I agree. I don't know that it is a requirement to have a God-centered idea of being better, of doing good. There's many who have found, the higher road. They found high morals, high standards for themselves and what they'll allow or what they'll expect or accept. And they've done so without the religious patterns. My personal view, though, is if you get the right relationship, that's what it comes down to, a relationship with the higher power, with God, not so much the religion. It makes it a lot easier because my faith in a higher power, it allows me the logic, right? I can use the logic and the idea that there's an answer beyond me. There's a power greater than me. And if I can follow that logic, well, then it gives me a peace inside. And I'm not lying to me because I'm following logic. For me, my faith is really kind of a selfish thing. It helped me find greater peace and joy.
Yeah, and you're not giving false testimony either. It's one of the reasons that I always felt a resonance with your space here is because you do have the ability to show tolerance, and you don't have to force feed God down people's throats, but you use kind of a gentle guiding back to that center source, and you accept people. Like atheists can step right up and you never have any problems, and you just kind of accept all people, which is such a great thing. I mean, that's rare in this space. It really is.
And thank you for being so forthcoming. What I'm about to say is not an attempt to shake your faith, to be clear. What I do think, though, is that I would prefer my method because of my internal locus of control that I get from my morality. There's not, like, considering that I've mostly have an empirical basis for it. I don't think I could map it out word for word, but most things I care about seem to be real issues. So that's kind of what I mean by that. And because that drives me to be a better person, so that way I could help, there's really there is no place I could even put God. And I feel like the risk of believing in something that might not be real is that you can have your faith shaken. And therefore that then your morality can fall apart if you base it on that. So that's just my reason for avoiding it.
Isn't that something? You're absolutely right. And there are people I've met, people are, for the most part, I think people are pretty honest about themselves. And I've met people who no longer have faith, right? They grew up with a particular religion or a particular belief system, and then it was lost. And that's kind of what you're saying. The chuckle I had inside of myself, I don't claim to understand you or fully recognize what you're describing with the empirical foundations with who you are, but I think we're pretty close in ideas. And the thought that made me chuckle is, if I'm truly absolute honest, I don't know that I can prove God, right? I mean, I prove it to me. It's been proven to me. I don't have a doubt in my mind, but if I was to try and actually demonstrate beyond a reasonable doubt, I don't know if I can. But given that weakness, given the fact that I still have this, little bit of room, that I think it's what allows me to keep my faith. Because I've been tested and challenged, and I've even asked why. Why would I want to have faith in this God, right? Doesn't seem to be really working, doesn't seem to be changing things. But then when I look in a different direction, it's all working out.
Yeah, I think that's important to note too, like the looking in a different direction. If I could address you momentarily, Melanie, I think that the difference there is like the doctrine and the dogma of the thing will lead you in that direction of possibly losing faith. Whereas what you're really encountering the difficulty with, I believe, is one's expectation of what that thing should look like, right? Like what God should be and how it should serve us in your life. As opposed, and I don't think that you're giving up your locus of control in any way, because that's inclusive within the spirit of the thing, right? Rather than the letter of the law, the spirit of the law, we have the free will and the freedom of choice. And so you still have that locus of control, and the empirical foundation of the thing, I harkens back to like the golden ratio and things playing out in a manner that's somehow ordered and under natural law, whereas opposed to like just random chaos, which I think the scientific materialistic view likes to think that we're just arising from random chaos, which is absolutely apparent that we are not, right? That's not what's going on.
Well, I believe you're referring to creationism. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, broadly versus evolutionary and Big Bang type thing.
So I tend to disagree with that. I don't know if Jack wants to have a debate on that here, but what you perceive as being something that needs to be explained by intelligent design is, to me, explained by our own intelligence. So I'm quite satisfied with the explanation personally. And I could go all night with it, but it's not, something I necessarily, well, actually, no, I have something at 9, but it's not necessarily something I want to bog down his channel with. I think more so, I've spent a lot of time actually thinking spiritually, not to like try to use this as a flex, but I do have something called schizotypal disorder. And if you know about the schizoid disorders, it's like the less severe form of schizoaffective. And those are all the disorders that aren't schizophrenic and that you hear voices, but there's something approaching that. And what they say about people with schizotypal, which just so that way people are following, is what I have. They tend to take up like shamanic roles in society throughout history, or at least that's what Dr. Robert Sapolsky proposes, and I would say he's a pretty valid source on that. So I've had a lot of encounters that you could say were metaphysical, just to be as broad as possible. I think what I think is the mind is capable of great things. It is capable of very great things. And to say, like, in your mind, there is a God that guides you, is fine, right? To say that we must be here because of all of this, I could just as easily say we must be here because of the laws of thermodynamics. So, you could say that's dogma or doctrine. I think that's observation and testing our assumptions.
It's fascinating. See, Melanie, we're not that far off in our mindset. I appreciate how you kind of look at things and analyze. There was this comment here from GTG. The new structure in place is meditation. Meditation is a tool for seeking out the source of creation that is functioning within us. And we can shift people from believers of God to seekers of God. I actually think that is kind of a wise refinement there. Because even the believers, if they're honest, if they're truly honest, well, let me not speak for others. For myself, as one who believes, it is a seeking. I seek to continue to know. I seek to grow in what I know. What a fascinating life we are living. Seriously.
I think it's beautiful, actually. Just to point out that I'm not like a nihilist. I think it's beautiful that this all came from nothing. Like, in fact, the fact that we are here to witness the beauty of nature. I don't want to speak about witnessing and some certain Christians and what they believe. I think it's amazing that just one person was even here and cognitive enough to contemplate just how beautiful and amazing Mother Nature is. And I don't say Mother Nature in like a spiritual way. I just say it in like the colloquial kind of cultural way that we all mean it.
Yeah.
And the ability for us to be here and appreciate that and appreciate what humans have built is in itself, I think, the biggest existential gift that we all receive. That does so I think overall we should be grateful for our entire lives. That doesn't mean we have to be grateful for the moment, though. If someone is torturing you, do not be grateful for that moment.
Fair. Yep.
Because I think there's risks of becoming dogmatic from every freaking angle. And this is what I mean about the mind becoming powerful, right? You can convince yourself of anything you want to. You are most suggestible to yourself. So this is, for me, I think the most important thing is to be able to test our assumptions. Now, Jack, I don't know if you want to get into a discussion, because kind of looping it back to the video topic of how we can organize societies based on that, because I think society's always been an experiment. Capitalism had a hypothesis. We can get into what that was, but I think that hypothesis has failed. It's been proven false. And instead of doing one big society and maybe even a geopolitical strategy that gets everyone to follow the same failed experiment, what we do is we create microcultures, local scale cultures that are all built on a hypothesis. And guess what happens if you can't fulfill the hypothesis? You either improve or you disband and you go take part in another experiment that you believe in. Because I think even God, right? The Bible and stuff, you can think of that as somebody had a hypothesis, right? This is how we're going to have world peace. We're going to get people to believe in an almighty God who came down to save us from our sins and all this stuff. And trust me, I've heard it from every angle. And all I can say is we need to save ourselves at this point. Nobody's coming to save us.
to add to that really quickly before we divert from the original ideas, the
Sorry, my
similarities
bad.
in our paradigms. No problem. It's where those patterns of thinking lead us to. You know, do they lead us to fruits of the spirit? And so, in seeking God or seeking the ultimate source, is it making us kinder, better people? And in some situations, I would argue that the opposite is true with a lot of mainstream religions, and I can see the danger there. And again, I think it goes back to the doctrine and the dogma. But yeah, to bounce the question back to you, Jack, that's a really wonderful thing to ask, and let's see where we go with it.
Actually, I do want to ask Jack, if you were to have a like your own starter culture community type thing, can you think of a hypothesis you might want to found it on?
Yes, but I'm not sure how to articulate it. I mean, the I guess hypothesis I have for a functioning society, it's truth above all else, and then the truth led with compassion. Those two things, I believe, could create a functioning economy, political system, anything. We could, as long as we were focused on what the objective truth is, or the nearest we can agree to, and then being led with compassion. I don't know if that answers what you were meaning.
I hear that. Yeah. Okay. If I think Frank wants to say something.
Yeah, no, if I could really quick, we have independence, dependence, codependence, and I would say a system based on value through interdependence, the way natural law essentially works, right? That things function within an organic system based on an interdependent relationship, right? So, other than parasites. So I would think that basic model, which plays out without any oversight by anyone, right, in nearly complete perfection to some extent. I mean, obviously we all grow old and die, but those organic biospheres is where we should start, I think, in looking for the correct ordering.
Oh yeah, so green anarchism is something I'm huge in, and that would be a part of any hypothesis I make. And Jack, I would definitely, I think if it's okay, I might reappropriate what you said into transparency and there's a word I'm trying to think of, egalitarianism. And so, but let me show you how you can take this hypothesis and break it into function of society, right? So how will we handle justice? Well, Jack, you said truth and compassion. So that typically means, first of all, people will be held accountable for the facts. So we'll still have things like trials. We'll still have things where evidence is collected. We may have people who specialize in that. But it's not going to be punitive.
Right.
And that's a key thing. And you know, I think it's important to be able to test these hypotheses, especially nowadays that we've actually seen that the less punitive systems become, the more people are able to reform themselves and become better people once they actually get freedom. Economically, we can also kind of say the same thing, right? It'll be a bit transactional. You'll want records of every transaction that happens, maybe even a currency, but not necessarily greedy. The point isn't to hoard wealth. Maybe there might be discussion of private property in there and how that works versus personal property. But most importantly, we're probably going to focus on allocating resources where people need them within that community. So see how having a hypothesis kind of helps us start organize around that point. You can think about it as like a mission statement almost. I think my ideal thing would be something that starts with green anarchism, follows a lot of the principles you lads have said, but also focuses heavily on sustainability and being able to, for people owning the means of production and scaling that accordingly. But also having that production be sustainable. And then the last most important thing would be a community architecture. So all of our planning, like if you have, we probably favor bike paths over roads over highways, that sort of thing, things that keep the community small scale. And if we have to build up, we're building layers to a community, not just high rises that become more abstracted from our beings.
Yes. Well said, Melanie.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that you let me say that all too, because I acknowledge it was a bit of a text wall.
No, I appreciate you've clearly given thought and perhaps looked into others who have given thought to these ideas.
If
I
you
see that.
if you are interested
Please
in
go
an
ahead.
author, he talks a lot about ecology, so it also helps to get a bit of an ecology background. But it's Murray Bookchin, and he kind of worked on the term. I'll put it in side chat so that way you can
Thank
see
you.
how it's spelled directly. And he has a lot of free audiobooks. I would just say start wherever. Just acknowledge that he was a bit more radical in his earlier days, and then guess what happened in his later years, right? So, but he went from being like social green anarchist to more of a confederalist, which I could see you also being a confederalist, which is where I kind of lean towards that as well, whereas you say, okay, so we have these communities, right? What keeps us strong? It's the ability for these communities to come together in times of need. Communities that have provide for the communities that have not. And the biodiversity between the communities and the social diversity among the communities, by the way, ecologically speaking, makes us all more robust. So we can still have things like specialization, economically speaking, where certain communities specialize in making certain products over others, but we still have a culture of, if something breaks, somebody in my community can make the part for it.
Right.
Because we all lift each other up that way. We say, what do you need to be able to make these parts for us? And how do we make it works that way? You're not paying for the parts. Our trade, pays for all the supplies you need, and we just give you the supplies. And then, part of what you make, you also trade for yourself to supply yourself. So these things, there's so many, all I'm pointing out here is that there's so many different things we haven't actually tried in a vacuum. Communism may have been flawed. Bookchin points to how it may have been flawed, but it never happened in a vacuum, right? It was always happening under world wars or dictatorships that, by the way, communism is supposed to be stateless, classless, and moneyless. That means Stalin didn't do it right. Almost none of the people who actually got power did it right. And so
Exactly.
Well, yeah, and essentially it can't happen in a vacuum because systems are independent. But I believe you are describing like a value-based system of interdependence that we rely on each other through value.
Well, yeah, because I don't for one thing, it takes a community, it takes a village to raise a child. And we were kind of talking about family before and how hard it is to tell somebody should you support your family or not. Well, when people feel like they have access, they naturally provide that to those around them. People can take advantage of that, but if those people also feel like they have access, then they don't feel like they need to take advantage of others. Right. It's game theory. And so broadly speaking, we need redistribution. We need to take the resources we have and take from the people who are hoarding stuff and give to the have-nots. The fact that we have homeless people while there are vacant apartments sitting because nobody feels like buying them is abhorrent.
Thank you.
And the fact that go ahead, Jeff.
No, please go ahead, Frank.
I was just going to say that the fact that those value systems are upheld through legislation and legal affairs that don't represent to fulfill the needs of the people, like Trump booing the New York market just to keep prices high so people's entrenched elites maintain their value while other people, do without.
Yes. And what you said, Melanie, that's certainly one that will ruffle some whatever. People get defensive when you start talking about removing property from one and redistributing it to another. But it is the reality. It's what has happened.
Yeah, we've been indoctrinated to rally against it. I mean, as soon as you said it, just red lights went off in my mind.
Yep, it does. It does, because that is what we've been conditioned. We've got to protect those who have. Well, those who have actually taken from those who have not.
Through labor, especially through labor.
Yes, that's the biggest way. But I had this observation a while back. There are so many hands in the pockets of the poor, right? The state, the corporations, all the systems that create wealth inequality, every little bit of that has their hands in the pockets of the poor. So these ideas, what you're talking about, Melanie, to me, I'm sitting here smiling and just my heart is happy listening to
Yeah, great.
similar perspectives, because it's the only logical direction that I can see for mankind. It's time to reform.
And hey, if you do believe in intelligent design, Frank, I was just thinking this, like, if God has actually written any code in the earth, it's not in our DNA, it's not in anything that we see in organization, it's in ecology. It's in the way that these things are structured, that they actually tell us how to maintain them. They structured themselves through self-organization where they need to be a lot of the times, not always. And minus, our influence on them. But you can see when an ecosystem is healthy. You can see where, like, if I push it in a direction it doesn't want to be, will it bounce back to where it was? And that's a very healthy ecosystem that can do that. And I want to. I don't know how many people are going to come away remembering this term, but there's something. If you really get into ecology, there's something called ecosystem services, and what that's trying to say is, think about like water services, right? That your city provides you. Nature does that too. And I know that's like, oh, well, of course it does, right? But it does it way better than we ever could. And it does it for free. We will never
Yeah,
be
and
able to spend enough money to reproduce what nature
right,
does.
you had mentioned at one point like restoring wetlands, and one way I have seen some success in them doing that is just relocating beavers, and beavers do all the work. Yeah,
Yeah.
people can't do it. Nature has to do it.
Because they cause floods, and then you have more vegetation around streams and stuff like that, places where water naturally drains. For me, I spend every day with a purpose, and that's to learn more about the science that makes up. I make freshwater ecosystems in a jar, and it turns out that generally is a bad idea. It's not like ecosystems are not meant to be contained. Like we'll never be able to take like a grassland and put that into a box, and then it'll still be that same grassland. We'll have to degrade a little bit, and that's a key thing, right? Like this whole thing from the largest scale, from the entire atmosphere and the entire magnetosphere of the planet, down to the DNA and the smallest molecules that make up living life. Those all work together. Those are all in conjunction. And these ecosystem services, when we learn how to use them properly, we can have cleaner air, we can have pollution control, flooding control, basically all the protection we need from climate change, thanks to Mother Nature. Now, granted, some of this is, availability may vary by location, stuff like that. Sometimes you need to engineer these things a little bit more than others. But we've been given the tools by Mother Nature, whether you can believe that's a spiritual entity or just something that exists, to do this. And the only thing we can do wrong is not do it at this point, in my opinion.
There.
Like we have all these problems, like cities are heat deserts. Guess what gets rid of heat deserts? Trees and grass and shade and water.
Right. Nature.
Yeah.
Nature fixes our problems. It's remarkable.
Green beltways. And about Sophie the other day, Jack, I think she was probably less frustrated with you and more frustrated with like other circumstances that were causing her anxiety. And that's usually what plays out in these digital spaces, is that people are bringing other things to the table and maybe not recognizing that even in themselves.
Right. You're absolutely right. And this is something that I know is not just unique to me, but I have noticed patterns that many people, they like to blame me for what they feel and what they think, but it's not always me that they're blaming or thinking. It's stuff from the past.
I would pose the question, how could it be you, right? Like, I've been watching you for over a year now. What have you done to, to irk anyone's vitriol to that level? It just seems mind-boggling.
It's been a little unusual. I want to swing back to something Melanie was saying too, with this comment, the UBI and CBDC going to be in our future, and the 1% will still be the wealthiest on the planet if nothing changes. If nothing changes in the value systems and the way we operate, and just we transfer earning potential to a universal basic income, we're still going to have this unhealthy codependency within society. But something you pointed out, Melanie, I'm not pro-communism, pro-socialism. I'm not pro anything, but I am definitely against this current system of debt slavery that we've got. And the reality is, in the past, there's never been a truly independent, not that I'm aware of, there's never been a really, truly independent effort at trying to change the systems, because capitalism has been the worldwide function in this current modern history. And it's corrupted past attempts. And it makes sense. Those who want the corporate and capitalist ideals, right, the profits above all else, they're going to invest and make sure that profits above all else lasts.
Yeah, and I think the way I perceive the failure of capitalism is when we let philosophers, particularly classical liberals, say everybody's greedy. That's in human nature. Everybody's greedy, and we have to create systems that prevent things like fraud and stuff like that. Okay, sure. You do need to prevent scams and fraud and stuff like that, depending on, especially if your system's over complex. I want to get into that.
Right.
But at the same time, there's a certain degree to where when you build up enough walls that nobody can get into, then there's another thing that can't get in there, and that's the justice of the people. So we used to think like, oh, we need like castles, or we need vaults underground and all this stuff to keep us safe. But what we really need to be kept safe from are places that we can't get into and take away from the people who are basically steering the ship. If there was an edge of the planet, like a flat world thing, this would be it. It would be more into climate change, more into capitalism, more away from humanity.
Yeah.
And I want to point out, like, I don't believe in brainwashing, but the closest thing we have is advertising, right? Like that shit does not does not care about your boundaries. It will do everything it can to get into the back of your head and become a brainworm, whether you want it to or not. If like we're in a consent culture, right? We're talking about consent and how important that is. I think it's great. But why aren't we talking about that with advertisers and how they break our consent?
And it's run antithetical to societal values the whole time, right? Like they've put things in front of our face that the average everyday individual would have never like tolerated.
Absolutely. It's been a slow play, but it has been rolled out very effectively and very efficiently. When I started seeing that advertising, it's mind control. That's what it is. It's profitable social engineering, and we have professionals making a good living, right? Providing for their families, putting their children through school. How? Learning how to program the masses, whether it's through the social media, whether it's through the algorithms, through the advertisements. We live in a world of deception, and guess what? It's mankind's design.
For sure.
Yeah. And one of the easiest ones to see is the beverage industry, right? Prior to the prior to the explosion of the beverage industry, we were all using healthful water-based drinks that we could readily access from our homes. And now it's a multi-million-dollar market. That's the only way people live anymore is out of plastic bottles. It's it's mind-numbing.
It's particularly like bad with kids, don't get me wrong. I think the key thing is that we need to watch out for is when they try to say like, oh, here's somebody who has a problem that needs to be solved. And here's a product that's probably unrelated that makes them happy and makes that problem go away because they consumed a product. By the way, most of our problems have not gone away by consuming products. 99% of them have not gone away. I disagree. I'm a big fan of technology. So I'm being facetious a bit there. But it's always been the double-edged sword. And going back to what we were saying about AI and how they push that on us, I think a big reason they feel like they can get away with that is because the same reason they feel like they can get away with marketing, because nobody checks it. Nobody says, hey, what is the shit you're doing? And how far does it go? Like how let's say you do get into something. I still disagree that it's mind control. I would say it's a very strong influence, right? It's taking our identities and saying and trying to literally destroy them, say there is no identity outside of the consumer, and then repackage them. And it literally presents people like one of the worst examples I've seen is a baby that says the name of an insurance company as its first words. They literally try to sell us back our identities. Like,
but it's not fair to say nobody challenges it. Like it is challenged, but those voices are typically silenced.
The revolution will not be televised, right? So there's no way you can keep your advertisers when you're talking about how bad ads are. And same thing with media like that on YouTube. YouTube's terrified of anything that drives away advertisers. The first hint that advertisers give that this thing scares me, you're in the algorithmic trash. You know you're in the black. You're never coming back. You're in the hole. Rock bottom.
Yeah, from what I've seen, only Powder Dusty has been the only one in this space that's been able to integrate like ads throughout his live stream transmissions and stuff.
But he's not sponsored.
No, but he's getting AdSense.
Well, and what it comes down to, it's all about the money. And as long as we're going to allow our society to be controlled by budgets, we're going to have corrupted politicians in charge. I see a way, though. I do see a way for humanity. And it is going to take kind of implementing some of these ideas, but I feel in my heart, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel that there is a sense of urgency. I think naturally and organically, mankind is dividing, right? This is perhaps the separation that was described in the past. People are attached to the old ways and to the corrupted ways, and maybe they don't even realize what's wrong with them. But then there's others, many, many of us, and I think there's more and more people waking up. Their mind can no longer deny, hey, there's something wrong with this picture.
Well, because with capitalism, it's getting harder and harder to hide it because it's causing climate change. And kids are like, well, why can't I live in a world that's not afraid of climate change like you did when you grew up? And so we're just going to have more and more generations. Like we thought Teen Rebellion was bad in the 90s. Just wait.
Yeah.
And this,
I don't know.
And the worst thing is like if these future generations have a rebellion, that it will take place on something like TikTok, where someone like Mark Zuckerberg, or I'm thinking Instagram, but someone like Mark Zuckerberg can basically control the revolution. We like this technology.
You muted.
Oh, my thing's on my keyboard. I was wondering how I was muting and unmuting like that. So we have the technology to have a really great revolution. In fact, I dare say, and I say this with caution, I'm not saying we should militarize to be violent. I'm saying we should militarize to protect ourselves and defend ourselves. As much as the military is bad, the way it can organize, like look at the Military Corps of Engineers. It's effective. It can get things done when it wants to get things done. This is what we need. We need direct action again. We've fallen into peaceful protest, but guess what? Guess when peaceful protest stops being peaceful? When our inaction leads to the violence of others or violence against this planet, the continued violence against this planet, animals, all these things. We've been sitting by passively for too long. And I think one of the strongest things we've had in society, and we need to carry this over to any new society we make, is a system that honors inheritance. What you reap and what you sow can also become what your children do, but also, of course, avoid, punitive systems that say, I'm going to punish you based on what your parents did. So we can take so many things that actually worked in this society, and we can just transpose them on there as values. They don't even need to be structures or systems or doctrines, just things that we appreciate. Sentiments
The
that we
problem
appreciate.
I would point out there is that the mob mentality has never led to like a beneficial, productive outcome of a system. It's always led to greater destruction. And it seems from the historic narrative that the things that have worked have been smaller groups of individuals coming up with good ideas that are attractive to a broader base of people. And so I think an intelligent revolution is more important than like an aggressive or violent one.
100%. And that's what I mean by militarizing even. Militarizing means taking more steps to prepare, time to train yourself, be mission focused, be mission ready, not necessarily combat ready, but mission ready. And Frank, I agree with you. Historically speaking, these things have been a shit show, but I think it's because a lot of times, and not always, like certain revolutions have happened, like the Zapatista movement, with arguable degrees of success. But it takes, we all need to be able to come together under a mission and not necessarily put our differences aside, but say, this is where we draw the line. This, because of the tolerance paradox, this is where you can no longer be in our ranks. Because I think, again, going back to peaceful protest, when you say be peaceful, does that mean letting violent people still be violent? Because then you're no longer peaceful.
Right. I think this is where Jack's message strikes at the heart of the thing, and he's not going to be able to do this on his own. We all need to step up and add some value to this movement.
Well, I will say, going into, I gave you Book Chin, there's another side of things that you can learn, and that is how people who have been trained for special forces survive in the woods and avoid being tracked and do all of their stuff. And it's like, if you are the apex soldier, if you're a sufficient and self-sustaining soldier on your own, then when you join up with other soldiers, it's so much more powerful than when you all depend on each other. So we need to, like, right now I go on long walks. I carry a bit of weight with me, and I just keep my stamina up throughout the winter. So that way I can then do more training based on that, because I live in a city and there's a lot of training I can't necessarily do here easily. But I plan to, at some point, be able to stand in defense, probably with the Native Americans here in this country, because they're some of the only people who will actually like hold something down and stand up against the government. So
we have a lot of opportunities. And Melanie, I like what you said. I'm not sure that when you said the word, it kind of raised a red flag for me initially, but the idea of militarism, right? Becoming more militaristic, maybe not so much with the power and aggression, but certainly the combined effort of organization, structure, those things are needed.
And it gives us a purpose again. Sorry, just to point it out, it gives us a purpose again to fight together. And I don't want us to have to be in that state to do that. Right. But we're being pushed against, we're up against the wall. Our backs are against the wall with what are we going to give future generations to inherit? What is this planet we're giving them? It's full of trash. We have not left this planet better than we found it for many generations now.
Are we becoming the Jedi?
We have the opportunity. We really do.
Not quite the
Um,
technology for left lightsabers, though.
Not yet, but when we stop lying to each other and we start open sourcing some of the knowledge and technologies, yeah, we can do all sorts of things.
There might be
Um,
limitations on the
I
ability
know.
to make them.
I know that's true. Hey, my friends, I am feeling. I think we should start wrapping up. This has been amazing, wonderful conversations with you both today. I appreciate it.
How about I
But I'm-
summarize and just kick it off?
Please, please.
So, look, we all have different idealisms for how society should be. There's a path realistically to there, but we have to, the only way to arrive there and still be in realism is to admit this is an experiment. We have a hypothesis. We're testing our assumptions. And if those assumptions do not pan out to be true, then we can no longer go forth with this new society. This is what we should have done, arguably, maybe a century ago with capitalism, once the Industrial Revolution became the consumerist revolution, as I'm describing it. Don't quote me on that, though, because it's not like, I don't think we divide eras like that in any sort of field of thought, but you get what I mean. Like, we used to produce things because it was good to produce things. Now we produce things that people can just buy things. And the best thing we can do is fight alongside each other, be so effective that they can't ignore us anymore, because I think we all feel defeated. We all feel like they can't ignore us, that no matter what we do, the system will keep turning along. And that's only true if we're all participating in it. And most people are still participating in it because they feel helpless. Until we provide them an alternative, until they see a way out that makes sense to them, will they actually take it? And that means you got to provide them their basic needs. You got to provide them society, culture, all the things that this world technically provides, but a chance for them to leave this world better than they found it for their kids. Because that's what matters most to people. I'm sorry, but it's family. And that's the degree to which we're selfish, is that we care about our families. But other than that, we're also part of a community, and we're smart enough to live like that. So thank you for having me, Jack. You're a wonderful man. And I feel like I still came in a bit too hot. But you know, we'll get to know each other more, and maybe I'll disagree with you on some things, but so far it has yet to happen. So I think that's funny. I think that's funny.
It is. It is. Melanie, thank you very much.
Have a good night, sir.
You too.
Yeah, blessings, Melanie.
Frank?
Yeah, I could be far more concise and forthright with my summation. I just think we need to consider, right, the historic narrative and what are the fruits of where these patterns of thinking are leading us? You know, are we truly benefiting people? If so, I think we move forward. And if not, then we just need to adjust course. And I believe it was Alan Watts that popularized the analogy of the archer. You know, when the archer is shooting at the target, when he misses the target, misses the bullseye, he doesn't go over and move the target. He adjusts himself. And so that harkens back to Melanie's idea of the locus of control. And Jack, I'd say day in and day out, you're hitting the bullseye 90% of the time. So much love, beloved, and have a great day, man. Thanks for having us on.
Hey, much respect, sincerely. I truly, truly appreciate that. I hope, folks, all of you who tuned in, whether not live and now or later, I hope you enjoyed these ideas too, because the topic initially was generically about kind of selfish for Jack. How are we going to help Jack do better? How are we going to help Jack shine more? And I actually think today was part of that. We actually have conversations with civil conversations, polite, with actual intelligent thought, considering and replying and considering and responding. And this is how education grows. It grows within us. It grows around us, brothers and sisters. The path for us all path for us all. It is here and now. And here and now, the path will be revealed. It'll be revealed through the truth. It'll be revealed through love. And if we stay aligned with love, we can stay aligned with the truth, and the truth, the path shows itself. I think I'm just kind of confusing things right now. I don't want to do that. I'm going to wrap it up. Sincerely, brothers and sisters, thank you again from me to you. Till next time, choose love, peace for everyone, and live without fear. God bless. Thank you.